go.
Hi, I'm Kathy Dodson.
And I'm Jocelyn Lindsay. Welcome to another episode of 5-Minute Indie Insights, where we're going to be talking about publishing tips and tricks in hopefully 5 minutes, because if we don't cut ourselves off, we're still going to be talking 3 hours from now.
Now, you're going to have to cut me off today because we are talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that is character arc.
Yes.
Now, there are different types of books out there of novels. One with a strong character arc, that's the difference between a book that is about a bunch of stuff that happens and a novel about characters that readers want to root for.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a big topic for both of us.
So I'd like to give some examples to start out with. Books with characters that change and evolve. Those are those character arc books that we're talking about, as they go through the plot of the book. Some examples of that are, say, Katniss in The Hunger Games, or Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice, Frodo in Lord of the Rings, Pac-Man in Where the Crawdads Sing, right? Your favorite book probably had a main character who had to grow and learn through the course of the novel. We identify with these characters because that's what actually happens in a human life, right? We get information, things happen to us, and we change because of that and grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're also in an age where we want to see character arc, even in characters that didn't previously have arcs, like James Bond. James Bond was a character that never changed. He was the same guy in 1970 as he was in 1980, 1990. And now you see James Bond, and the dude has a character. James Bond has a character arc. And that is, we want to read, people want to read about people, and people want to read about change. And I think we're getting to see a lot of that's where writing is turning to, because a lot of like crime stories and a lot of mysteries didn't have a lot of character arc, and that's changing.
Absolutely. And this doesn't mean that books without strong character arcs can't be good, but they're good for different reasons. Okay, so take Jack Reacher. He never changes.
No.
Are 29 books in the Jack Reacher series. He is the exact same person in all of them, whether he's a teenager or he's 50 years old.
Exactly.
Those books are about the stuff that happens in the plot.
Yes.
Not how the world is changing Jack Reacher, right?
Yeah.
And goes for Inspector Poirot and Agatha Christie novels, right?
Yep.
It's a little more of an old-fashioned thing. It doesn't mean that those books aren't good, but you're right. There's a real hunger for the structure. Right.
Yeah. Is it the character that's changing, or is it what's happening to the character and the world around them? It's really like, is there change, and where is it happening?
And I love it. Like, you take The Hunger Games. So Katniss changes, right? Because she goes through this whirlpool, this Hunger Games competition. But the way she changes makes her stronger and enables her to change that world.
Exactly.
Not that hero's story, right?
Exactly. And I think I see a lot of writers who get caught up on the idea that change has to be huge, that change has to be, it can't be a quiet change. It can't be a little change, from like the agoraphobe who won't go outside and have like, a conversation with the neighbor to the end of the book, like, oh, look, now they're talking to their neighbor. For that character in that book, that story, that can be a huge change. It doesn't mean that they now have to be like going from, the person who your neighbor on the corner to the, the emperor of the universe. It can be a very quiet change does not feel like very much, but it can be huge within the confines of that story.
Oh, absolutely. Things that are like learning to stand up to a bully, right?
Exactly.
They're not saving the world, but they're making a giant change within that person that's very emotional, and that's something that we want to follow and want to live vicariously through.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think romance stories have some of the biggest character changes, because it's about finding love. It's about a relationship with somebody else. And sometimes in the grand scheme of the world, just falling in love may not be huge world-changing epic stories, but they're what we crave. It's just learning how two people change with each other or change to love each other.
Absolutely. That's a great example because in a love story, in a romance, you've got two characters and something is standing in the way of one or both of them being able to have that loving relationship crave, right?
Mhm.
And that has to get resolved for them
Mhm.
to live happily ever after.
Yeah.
It may not be a huge world saving thing, but it's an internal change that helps you know that, yeah, love can happen forever in the world today.
That's a huge thing. So if you're not writing, epic fantasy, taking the ring to the volcano, that's okay. You don't have to write those kinds of big, huge books. Those quiet books, those smaller changes are just as powerful and just as necessary. So don't feel left out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Focusing on character change really can strengthen your novel.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us. And my character change this week is books releasing. My character has changed. Me has changed in the last week from all the things that we're doing. So we're got to keep going forward towards that change. So yeah, have a good week and we will see you here next time. Thank you for joining us.
Right.